Welcome to the Elliott Confidential podcast. I'm Christopher Elliott here with Aaron and Iden Elliott and new theme music. What do you guys think of the theme music?
What? I have not heard this theme music.
I know, Aaron composed it.
I know, I'm an artist now.
Let me hear it.
But I have some good news today because we've upgraded our equipment. We've heard all of your complaints about the audio quality. So we are now all on new microphones that we got. We got some nice Rode lapel mics. And they're really the sound quality. I've used it for TV. We had one and then we bought two more. So hopefully that fixes things.
Yes, I used to do ASMR on these microphones. They have very good sound quality. No, I'm serious. I did some videos beforehand. They were actually really good videos.
The question of the day here, and I want you to stop the podcast and answer this question in the comments if you can, is what is the most entitled guest or passenger that you've ever seen when you've traveled? We will get to this later on because we have some stories to share with you. But tell us now in the comments if you've ever, been traveling and seen someone throw a hissy fit while they're waiting for an airline or something for a flight, or waiting for a cruise or at a hotel. Tell us about it, please.
Yes, but it can't be us.
It can't be us. No, obviously not.
No, yeah, anybody but us.
Have we ever had a meltdown, do you think? I shouldn't ask. Should I ask?
If it did happen, it was very silently. It's like silent screamings of agony and pain.
But I've never said anything like, do you know who I am? Or anything like that.
No, you've said it ironically, though.
Okay, ironically is different than
Yeah.
actually. We're still in Paris. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to live in Paris as a local. Aaron and I have been taking walks while you've been working on your grad school. So we have 3 walks that we want to talk about. And then a lot of you also asked about the heat wave. We will discuss the heat wave and how things went when we were in Paris.
Wait, there was a heat wave?
Yeah, what do you call that thing that happened a couple days ago?
That was where it was like 97 degrees in the room.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I thought that was just the normal temperature for Paris.
No, it's not.
Oh,
not
okay.
at all.
Yeah, I actually had problems sleeping because it was so hot. Though we can get into that later.
We all did, yeah. We're also going to have a discussion about customer service and some of the things that hotel owners, general managers, PR people have been telling me about guests in Paris. You're definitely going to stick around for that. And then we are going to have our secret that we tell every week, which I don't even know what it is. I have so many secrets to choose from. I don't know about you guys. Anyway, let's start with Paris. Your impressions of Paris so far, please.
Well, every time I leave, it's always so dark outside, and you guys are sleeping also.
We should explain that you have been keeping West Coast US hours because of graduate school, right?
Yeah, so basically I have to stay up until 3 a.m. multiple times a week. Usually it's just twice, which is good, but sometimes it's 3 times if there's like office hours. And I have to stay up that late because that's when the lectures are. And if I don't go to the lectures, well, first of all, I'm missing out on so much value that you get out of graduate school. But also I have to do these ridiculously big assignments to compensate for not going to these lectures. So
better to go to the lectures.
Yeah.
Aaron, your impressions of Paris so far?
Well, Paris is a fascinating city. I mean, I really didn't expect this. So we just realized that we're not in the tourist quarters. And I'm used to whenever I'm in a city being regularly, fairly close to some tourist areas. But I didn't realize how authentic this was until we actually went to the tourist quarters, the first arrondissement here in Paris, and I realized, wow, that is very different.
Yeah, we're in the 19th, which is far away from everything. And just to give you an idea of how authentic it is, there is no McDonald's, no Starbucks. It's all very, very, I'm sure there is, but in our neighborhood, in our immediate neighborhood, there isn't. It's just very, very local.
Yeah, I wanted to go to a Chipotle. The nearest Chipotle was about a 40-minute walk, which is, it's fine. It's not too long a walk, but it is way out of the way. And also, I kind of realized halfway through the walk, why the hell am I walking 40 minutes to go to a Chipotle when I'm in Paris, like the culinary capital of the world?
I know. You should be eating Parisian food, which is very good. We haven't had a bad meal here yet.
No, yeah. If you're in Paris, go to Le Bichat. Great salads. I have that stuff almost every day. incredible.
I love Paris. I didn't think I was going to. I've been here in the past, and I haven't stayed as long as I did this time, and it was in a different part of town. But I found actually the Parisians to be very nice. They seem to like Americans, and they like it when you try to speak French, which we do.
Ooh, I have a story on that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I initially speak in English whenever I'm talking with someone here because I can't speak any. I was about to say Spanish. I can't speak any French. And then they speak back to me in French. I'm like, oh no, they don't speak English at all. And then I'm like, well, the closest language that I know to French is Brazilian Portuguese. So I say, you know what? They'll probably understand me better. So I was just trying to order food. I think this was actually at Libby Shop. And so I said, hello, and they said, bonjour. And I'm like, oh no, okay. And then I start speaking Brazilian Portuguese. Oh, o que é isso? And then they're like, okay, what do you want? So they just really didn't like Brazilian Portuguese, I guess.
Yeah.
But they would rather speak to me in English than Brazilian Portuguese, their non-preferred language.
Yeah. We have taken 3 really cool walks, Aaron and I, while you've been, Iden, doing your graduate school. One of them was, we're in the 19th, right near the Rothschild Hospital, right near the park. And we took one walk down to Sacré-Cœur, which is Sacred Heart, that big church right up on the hill. And it takes us through some interesting neighborhoods. There's actually a Middle Eastern neighborhood, and we've got to check that place out because they have, all these really great restaurants.
But then there's the Indian, Tibetan, Pakistani neighborhood. And that's, if you go from the 19th arrondissement all the way up to Sacré-Cœur, you're going to pass by so many Indian restaurants, so many Indian grocery stores. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not anywhere where tourists normally go, but it's a nice walk. It's safe. We never felt like we were in a bad place. You walk across the canals, and then you go up the hill. And now I have a story to tell you. When I was here years and years ago, I went up that hill during the on Bastille Day, and they had the fireworks up there, and that was really quite an event. There's another walk that we've done, which is down to Notre Dame, which is being fixed up. It is, you can't stand on you used to be able to congregate in front of the church. That's all closed off. They're doing construction there, but there's an exhibit where it shows you what they've done to fix the church after that huge, horrible fire that they had there. And then you walk around town there, and there's all kinds of really amazing restaurants. There's a park. So what are your impressions? You've seen Notre Dame before and now being rebuilt. So what do you think of that, Aaron?
I mean, wow, that's a great question. Really, I've seen Notre Dame turn into basically a construction site, and it feels now much more, I really do feel the presence of the government and construction and whatnot, whereas beforehand it just felt like another building. But now, now you can see this building was really important. And you can tell by the measures that they're going to just how important Notre Dame is for the French, for the Parisians, and for the tourists too.
And we did another walk, about an hour, which takes you down into the first. We actually visited 2 hotels, the Fauchon and the Crillon.
Yes.
Which is the hotel that all the Americans go to. So they say, very nice luxury hotel. And that takes you through the beautiful part, the huge, wide boulevards, and the shopping, and all of the A-list restaurants that everyone tries to get into, but they can't because there's a 1-month waiting list. And then also the opera and all the really big buildings there. And that's pretty spectacular too. I mean, we're going to go back there tomorrow to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, beforehand we would just walk over to Le Marais, which is another sort of area where they have touristy things. They have also just way more shopping that you can do in Le Marais. But that's just south of here. That's maybe closer to Notre Dame. There's still a lot there that I want to see in Le Marais, but I think that the first arrondissement, that's very close to, firstly, the Eiffel Tower. Mm-hmm. They have the Madeleine Church, which is a church that looks like a Greek temple.
It's a Greek temple. I thought it was a Greek temple, and then we said, oh, let's go check that out. That was today. I'll post some pictures with the podcast. Pretty incredible. I mean, and Iden will take you there tomorrow. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can walk over to the Eiffel Tower to heat wave. We should talk about the heat. You're so funny. You didn't know that we were having a heat wave. That's because we were just in Athens, where it's probably just as hot as the hottest day here in Paris. And then before that in Turkey, when it got pretty hot there as well.
Oh, it's not just that. It's not just that. I mean, we lived in Reno for how long? 3 months?
Oh.
And in Sedona for 8 months. And over there in the summer, that's just the normal.
I know, but you have air conditioning, but you don't hear. And this is the thing. I talk to a lot of Parisians and they tell me, we don't have air conditioning. No one has air conditioning. The only places you can find air conditioning are in hotels.
Well, yeah, the only comment I had during the heat wave was, do we have air conditioning or not? Because, I mean, I would prefer some air conditioning, and you guys said no. I'm like, okay, guess I'm just going to have to deal with this.
But the thing is if you open the window to get some colder air in,
It doesn't work.
It's not really cold.
Because outside is the oven, just like in Houston, Texas.
Oh, yes, Houston, that was bad. But the problem, too, is the street noise, because we're right next to the Rothschild Hospital. And so you hear the ambulances just going up at all odd hours of the day. You hear them going up there.
Even with the
That wakes
windows,
you up.
Even with the windows closed, you can hear it all. But you creak that open just a little bit, and it's like it's like a concert, but it all just
never stops.
Nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, I know, I know.
You know, the last time I experienced heat like this, where I really couldn't do anything about it, had to be when we were staying in Hilo. Near Hilo.
Oh, yes, except less humidity here than in Hilo and fewer tree frogs.
Yeah, I would say the tree frogs were actually more soothing than these ambulance noises.
Yeah.
But seriously, yeah, back then I remember we were staying in this rental and they had a lock on the AC wall unit because they wanted you to pay extra for that.
Yeah, that was a bad situation.
Yeah.
Most places in Hilo did not have an AC. This place did. But if we wanted to use it, we were told that we were going to have to pay extra for it. And we said, sorry, not going to do that. We opened all the windows, but it was hot the entire time. We were a month there, and it was really, really hot.
Yeah, but I would say from my experience with all those places that we've been to and all that heat, calling that a heat wave here in Paris is like a baby boy move.
Well, I don't think that the heat wave here was that terrible compared to some of the other heat we've had.
I don't even think you can consider it a heat wave.
I mean, I remember when we were in Reno 2 years ago and we had the fires on the hill. And
that was hell on earth.
That was literally, it felt like, what hell must feel like, because you could feel the heat from the fire, but it was also a really crispy, dry heat that kind of burned.
It looked and felt like what you would imagine hell would feel like, and then you would walk 15 feet and you'd go to a park that was filled with lush green grass. I don't know how the city funds that, but that irrigation plan cannot be sustainable.
Yeah. Well, I would say the thing about Reno is I remember just waking up in the morning and there being a thick layer of smoke throughout the house that we were staying in.
Oh yeah, it was bad. Well, that
smelled.
It smelled bad. It was sage that was burning the entire time. It was the desert sage.
Wasn't that bad?
But it was, so everything was very clean because of the sage was everywhere. But I would wake up and I would not be able to take a deep breath. Aaron and I had the privilege of speaking with the general manager of a luxury boutique hotel called the Fauchon. And we also met with the director of PR at the Crillon, as I mentioned before, which is a larger hotel, just underwent a renovation, beautiful place. And what they both said, and this is fascinating, I asked them, how has your visitor changed since the pandemic? And they said, our visitors have become much more demanding. They're less likely to wait patiently when they're at a restaurant table. They call us incessantly, months before their arrival, to ask for restaurant reservations and special arrangements. And they're maybe just a little bit snippier too.
They want to make sure that their vacation that they're finally getting after 3 long years is going to be perfect. And then at the end of the day, their attitude is what ruined it.
I mean, I think that if you go on vacation with a very demanding attitude, you're probably not going to have as good a time as if you go with more of an open mind and pack some patience too.
Yeah, and I can understand why people would be very incessant when they go on their vacation. They want to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect, because it's not something that they're doing very often. But at the same time, I think if you talk with anyone who has lived nomadically for a long period of time, they would say, hey, just keep an open mind. That's probably the best way you're going to have a good experience in a new location. And I know that probably sounds very entitled, like, oh, I'm traveling more than you, and I know it's good, and I know it's best. But, I mean, I would listen. So
You would listen to you?
I would listen to me.
I don't know if I would listen.
I would listen to me. I am... Well, because every 17-year-old thinks that they know everything.
Well, yeah.
And, you know,
some actually
it's
do,
all
right?
in the attitude and the confidence. If I think I know everything, I do know everything, right?
I think that a lot of folks will go on a vacation. They only have a week or two. I mean, you have to remember, in the U.S., we only have 2 weeks of vacation standard, if at all. And so they want to make the best of it. They demand a perfection, basically, and even now more than ever. But
It's never
interestingly,
perfection. It's never perfection.
you can never get perfection. No. That's the one takeaway from what we've learned being on the road, is that, it's never perfect. It's never. There's always going to be something.
I think others will concur with us on that.
I think so too. Yeah. But one of the things that the director of communications at the Client said is that she thinks things are going to go back to normal. Like after this one summer, that maybe people will become a little bit less demanding. I think that's what she hoped for, at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think probably, because if everyone gets their time to go out this summer, maybe next summer, it won't be quite as special. They won't be quite as demanding.
Well, that actually brings me to this week's question again, which is, what is the most entitled guest or passenger that you've ever seen? So, Aaron, what's the most entitled guest that you've ever seen while you've traveled?
Oh, the most entitled guest. Well, outside of my own family.
Excluding your own family, yes, of course.
Well, I have to say, I think that I've seen some pretty ridiculous things, but mainly it's just secondhand, all the things that I've heard about. It's mainly just secondhand. So
it's those YouTube videos that you saw people having a meltdown at the gate.
Public freakouts.
I do remember this one time where, my brother and sister, we were in a van with other tourists, and my brother and sister were just, they're playing around and being idiots. And then this woman just snipes at us, just as we were about to leave the bus.
Oh, I can.
I
remember that one.
Yeah.
So we were in Kenya, and my sister and I were fighting over a seat. I think it was something stupid. It's the type of things that an 11-year-old or 12, I think it was 11.
Yeah, you guys are pretty young.
An 11-year-old would fight about. And so I don't understand why you would get so mad at an 11-year-old fighting over something stupid, because that's just what 11-year-olds do. Regardless, I remember. Okay, so what we were fighting about had to do with patience for some reason. I think it was I'm just wait for me to get out of the seat so you can get on. And it was Eris just teasing me, because she was like, yeah, of course I'm never gonna get give this seat to you brute, you. So.
And I just remember she had a total meltdown. This woman.
Yeah.
She had some issues.
I want to say less than a minute before we park, and you don't know when you're parking yet because you don't know the location. She said, why can't you guys just be patient? But it wasn't in those words, and it wasn't in that tone. It was very rudely and very loudly just before we parked. And so the takeaway from that was, if she was just a little bit more patient, we wouldn't have had that meltdown. If she just waited another minute.
I was embarrassed for her, because she was she was an adult, and she was yelling at 2 kids basically who were just being kids. That's all.
Yeah, she was probably having a bad day, or a bad year. Who knows?
I think she was having a bad year because I was talking to her before in the van, and she had some problems. But anyway, I wouldn't say I've seen more entitled behavior this summer, but I've seen a lot of it in the past, and it usually involves someone at a ticket counter at the airport yelling at an agent, and the agents, they don't get paid enough to deal with that kind of thing, and unfortunately, in some of the cases, security had to be called and these people had to be removed. So if you're thinking about doing something that's very entitled, maybe take a deep breath, because people are are on the lookout for entitled behavior.
To film.
And not just to film, but to call security.
Yeah.
So if you give them a really hard time, you might find yourself on the next flight back home.
Yes.
So don't do that probably. Time to tell a secret. You guys have any secrets that you've learned this week, or secrets, maybe other people's secrets that you'd like to share? It's called Elliott Confidential, so you have to tell something.
Elliott Confidential. Okay. Something confidential for you guys is that whenever you, something confidential for you all to know is when you watch the video this week for my dad's latest article, you will see that there's a lot of B-roll in certain sections. Whenever there's B-roll there, it's a part that my dad didn't want to look at the camera for. So I put a lot of B-roll over that.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
Sometimes he just doesn't want to look at the camera. He just wants to read off the script, so then I have to put B-roll over it.
Okay, but thank you for mentioning that. We've been doing more YouTube videos.
Yes.
I would love to know what you guys think. So if you're listening and you want to rant about the videos that we've been doing, we've really been trying, you know.
Tell us how great the videos are.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I already know they're amazing because I'm the one who edited them. But if you guys just want to confirm that and tell me how amazing my videos are in the comments, please feel free to do so.
You know, you're working with the talent is limited. Let's just put it that way.
What?
You know, the talent, my talent. You know, because I'm the talent, right?
Oh, you're right. Because
I'm the talent. You're
my talent is overflowing. You know,
of course.
Okay. I just wanted to
Spoken
make sure.
like a 17-year-old.
Thank you. Yes.
My secret for this week is that I have seen some pretty incredible things walking downtown in Paris with Aaron, where you go from one street, you cross a street, and then you're in the touristy area, and suddenly the crowds swell. It's like everyone is going to the same place. But if you cross the street and go back in the other direction, suddenly you're in a place where there's no Starbucks, no McDonald's, no Burger King. It's just very authentic Parisian, and it's all locals. And so my secret today would be, no matter where you are, it doesn't have to be Paris. If you're going to Europe, if you're staying in the States, if you're going somewhere else, see if you can get just a little bit away from the tourist area. Now, don't get yourself in trouble. Don't go to a dangerous part of town. But sometimes all it takes is you crossing the street and you get into an area that's much more authentic and where people will be genuinely appreciative of you and your business. If you go walk into a cafe, sit down and order a coffee, you're not going to treat you like a tourist. They're going to treat you like a local, and it'll be a better experience too.
Yeah. And another crazy thing about that is that the language completely switches. You cross the street, and not only do the people at the businesses in the touristy areas speak, English to you, but also the people walking in the streets all around you start speaking, English or a foreign language that's, not from the country. And you cross the road, all French. They only speak French in the stores, so you're going to have your little Google Translate, and they all are speaking French in the streets. But, again, it can really be a much better experience.
It's good to learn another language.
It can be a much better experience.
And I would say Aaron, of all of us, probably knows the most French. What is your secret this week, Aaron?
That's a great question. I think that. Know. Yeah, no, I don't know. There's just a lot of little things. Like here, I discovered my favorite hummus in the grocery stores, which seems like a very, very small thing, but really, if you think about it, like the context of this, especially, we've gone to a variety of grocery stores and found a variety of products, and that's something you expect. However, I've seen, like, for example, in the United States, where products are basically the same everywhere, especially in grocery stores. Here in France, and I'll say to extend to most of Europe, a lot of the products are just different from place to place. So, for example, certain food outlets are going to source from more Middle Eastern places. Like, we're right next to a pizza place that's run by a Middle Eastern guy.
Oh, those guys are all Syrian, yeah.
Yeah.
So your advice is basically to shop around to have a more authentic experience, which is a good secret. I don't think people do that.
If you're going to stay in a vacation rental, or if you're going to just stay in a rental of any kind, and if you're in Europe, more importantly, feel free to just go everywhere, because the authentic experience doesn't lie in you doing the same thing over and over again. It doesn't lie in comfort. It lies in you exploring novelty. And sometimes what that means is going to random sort of dilapidated grocery stores and finding new products.
Okay, make sure that the grocery store you go to is not too dilapidated, because I don't want you
But
No
you know
food
what
poisoning.
I mean.
not leaving because you don't make it out.
Well, it's like those Chinese grocery stores. They don't look very nice, but they've got the best
They got
sweet
good
potatoes.
mochi, good sweet potatoes, and excellent tea as well.
Yes.
Okay, our goal for next week is to get Iden up earlier so that he can come and enjoy Paris with us. And we'll report back and let you know what happened.
Well, the issue with that, though, is that this is my only week off, and then next week I have to go back to the same schedule because of the lectures.
Well, we'll just have to see about that. All right, Aaron, take us out with some of your theme music again. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Goodbye.
Ciao.